everyone, and welcome back to CRT's Cozy Corner, Shakespeare Edition. Today I am so excited because we are going to be reading a little-known classic called Twelfth Night. So, if we're all ready, let's go ahead and take a deep breath. Good breath. And we will get started. If music be the food of love, play on. Duke Orsino, Act 1, Scene 1. If music be the food of love, play on, Duke Orsino urged his musicians. He sank back into a pile of velvet cushions and sighed. Give me so much that my hunger fades. I'll play that part again. It was as sad as the breath of violets. But when the musicians obliged, he snapped. Enough, no more. It's not so sweet as it was before. Waving the musicians away, Orsino got to his feet and went to stare out of the palace window. A servant entered. Sir, Lady Olivia would not let me in, but her maid gave me this answer. Not even the sun will see her face for 7 more years. She will stay in mourning for her dead brother. The Duke groaned with disappointment. I'll go and lie down in the flowers. They'll suit my dreams of love. On the coast of the island, not far from the Duke's palace, the sea sparkled, betraying no sign of the terrible storm that had wrecked the ship the night before. On the beach, survivors had gathered, the captain, a few sailors, and a young lady named Viola. My poor dear brother, Viola sobbed. Do you think there is any chance he did not drown? She asked the captain. Her brother, Sebastian, was her twin. They loved one another dearly and were as alike as 2 halves of an apple. It was only by chance you were saved, the captain replied. So by chance he might be, said Viola. After our ship split in 2, I saw him tie himself to the mast, the captain volunteered. He stayed afloat as long as I could see. Here's gold for saying so, said Viola, pressing a coin from her purse gratefully into his hand. Do you know where we are? Aye, said the captain. This is Illyria. I grew up here 3 hours from here. It's ruled by a noble duke called Orsino. I've heard of him. He's a bachelor, isn't he? Viola asked. That he is, and a noble ruler, the captain said. Perhaps I should ask him for employment until I can work out what to do, Viola pondered. But it would be easier if I was a man. I have an idea. I'll disguise myself as a gentleman and ask the Duke if I can work for him. Captain, you seem trustworthy, fellow. Will you help me? Viola asked. Aye, that I will, replied the captain. Disguised as a young man and calling herself Cesario, Viola was willingly employed by the Duke. He warmed to the fresh-faced youth immediately, and within days had confided all his feelings for Olivia. Will you call on her on my behalf, Cesario? The Duke asked. Stand at her door until she lets you in. Viola agreed. But what shall I say if she does let me in? Unfold the passion of my love, exclaimed Orsino. She'll believe you, Cesario, with your honest face. You're so fresh-faced and so young. You're not quite a man. Viola blushed. Little did the Duke realize how little a man she actually was. I'll do my best, she said in her gruff boy's voice, and hurried away. But her mind was in turmoil. I'm sent to woo on his behalf, but I myself would rather be his wife. I'm sorry. The sorry fact was, in the space of the past few days, she had fallen in love with the Duke. At Olivia's house, her uncle, Sir Toby Belch, was sitting in the kitchen, drowning his hangover with a mull of ale. What a plague that my niece is taking her brother's death like this. Caring too much stops you getting on with life, I'll tell you that. Maria, Olivia's maid, bustled around him, wiping his spills from the table. My mistress doesn't approve you coming in so late at night, Sir Toby, she tutted. All that drinking will be your downfall. My lady was complaining about that silly knight you brought here to her court, too. Who? Sir Andrew Alucheek? He's as tall as any man in Illyria, proclaimed Sir Toby. Maria couldn't help but laugh. What use is that? He's rich, too. Maria snorted. He's a fool, she said. Not only that, but he's drunk every night in your company. We are only drinking to my niece's health, Sir Toby said mildly. Here he is. Look, Sir Andrew Aguface, my dear fellow. Good morning, Sir Toby Belch. Into the kitchen trudged a skinny knight, with a face as long as his bandy legs and a head of hair that resembled a well-used mop. He slumped down next to Sir Toby, who poured him a drink from the jug, slopping ale all over Maria's freshly wiped table. Maria rolled her eyes. I think I'll leave you to it, she said, and bustled out of the kitchen. I've never seen you so miserable, Sir Toby said to his friend. Never, agreed Sir Andrew. I think I'll go home tomorrow. Your niece won't even see the Duke, so what chance have I? She doesn't want anyone as rich as the Duke. I heard her swear it, Sir Toby said persuasively. You've definitely got a chance. All right, I'll stay a month longer, said Sir Andrew. Meanwhile, Maria had found someone else to scold. It was Festy, the jester, a clown employed to fool around for people's entertainment. Lots of rich houses had them. He had been absent for a few days, just when Olivia most needed cheering up. Where have you been? The mistress will hang you, Maria told him. The jester shrugged, the bells in his costume jingling. Many a good hanging has prevented a bad marriage, he said. He eyed Maria up and down. You'd make Sir Toby a fine wife, if only he'd sober up to see as much, he said cheekily. Maria hid a smile. Hush, you rogue, no more of that, as she bustled away. Festy went out to the garden to find Olivia. She was with her sour-faced servant, Malvolio. He was as black and gloomy as the jester was bright and jolly, and suited her sad mood much better. As soon as Olivia saw the jester, she frowned. Take the fool away, she told Malvolio. You heard, the jester said to Malvolio. Take away the lady. What? Why do you think I am the fool? Said Olivia, her interest piqued. Festy had always been a witty one, and although the jokes he made were often a little close to the bone, it amused her to see how cleverly he made them. Festy grinned. You'll see, so tell me, why are you mourning? For my brother's death, Olivia replied. Ah, so his soul must be in hell, said the fool. No, his soul is in heaven, fool, she bristled. How foolish of you to mourn his soul being in heaven, concluded the jester. As I said before, take away the fool. Olivia smiled. What do you think, Malvolio? Malvolio didn't smile. Fools were beneath him. I marvel that you take such delight in such a rascal, he said haughtily. You shouldn't take everything so seriously, Olivia laughed. At that point, Sir Toby staggered by, already thoroughly drunk. There's a gentleman at the gate, he informed her, before burping and sitting down in a bush. Olivia sighed. She better send Malvolio with a message. Hopefully his solemn air would counteract any bad impression left by her uncle. If Duke Orsino sent him, tell him to go away, she told him. Eyeing Sir Toby with distaste, Malvolio nodded and stalked off to do as she asked. Look after my uncle, Olivia told the jester. So Festy hauled Sir Toby out of the shrubbery, and they wandered off together. Malvolio was soon back. Nothing I can do will shake that messenger from his post at the door, he reported irritably. Really? Said Olivia. The others had been easy to turn away. What's he like? She asked. Scarcely old enough to be called a man, Malvolio answered. I suppose I'll see him. Call Maria to accompany me. When Viola came in with a manly stride to match her disguise, she found two ladies rather than one. One was veiled and dressed in black, and the other in brighter clothes. In her deepest voice, Viola asked, Which is the lady of the house? Talk to me. I'll answer for her, Olivia answered. Most Radiant, exquisite lady of matchless beauty, Violet began. Then she stopped. Please tell me if you're the right lady. I spent a long time on this speech, and I don't want to throw it away on the wrong person. Olivia laughed out loud. Are you a comedian? She asked, and was amused to see the young man blush. No, Violet answered. Tell me, if you are the lady, though, so I can get on with my speech. It's very poetic. Olivia waved her hand. I'm not interested in flattery. I only let you in because you were so cheeky at my gate, and I was curious. If you have a reason for being here, then get on with it. Be brief. Otherwise, be gone. It's a message from Orsino, straight from his heart. In that case, I've already heard it, said Olivia dismissively. May I see your face? Viola asked abruptly. The request took Olivia completely by surprise, and she looked curiously at the young man standing in front of her. I think you are straying from your orders. But still, she drew back her veil. She blushed under the intensity of the young man's gaze. Is it not well made? She ventured. There was a pause. Yes, said the young man. You are far too proud, but even if you were the devil, you would still be beautiful. Anyway, my lord and master loves you. Olivia softened. How does he love me? She asked. With sighs and tears, the young man replied. Your lord knows my mind, Olivia answered honestly. I know he's noble and gracious and so on, but I simply do not love him. He should have accepted it long ago. If I loved you as my master loves you, I couldn't take no for an answer, Viola declared. What would you do about it? Asked Olivia. Viola was filled with thoughts of the Duke. If she were pleading on her own behalf for him, there would be no stopping her. Filled with passion, she declared, I would make myself a cabin so I could sit at your gate day in and day out. I'd call upon you, my soul within the house. I'd write songs of unrequited love and sing them even in the dead of night. You would at least have pity on me. Viola fell silent. Olivia was staring at her, and she suddenly felt very awkward about her passionate outburst. You might do a lot, Olivia said, moved by the strength of feeling she'd just seen. Go back to your master and tell him I cannot love him and not to ask again, but she hesitated. You can return if you'd like, to tell me how he takes it. Farewell, fair cruelty, Viola said, and hurried away under Olivia's gaze. Olivia found herself quite taken with the young man. She had never met anyone like him, so direct, so passionate, so honest. She had to see him again. On an impulse, she pulled a ring from her finger and called to Malvolio. Take this to that boy, she said. He left it here. Don't take no for an answer. Malvolio preferred a slow, stately pace, suited to his position as the highest servant in the household, and hated having to hurry. He scurried along in an ungainly half-run, but by the time he caught up with the young man, he was thoroughly annoyed. You left this, he sniffed, thrusting the ring into Viola's hand. He stalked away with his nose in the air, leaving her staring at it. What could this mean? Viola wondered. I didn't leave a ring. A sudden realization dawned on her. Oh no, I hope she hasn't fallen for me. Now she thought about it, Olivia had stared so much that Viola had thought she'd lost her tongue. What's more, when Viola had stared at her, she blushed. Oh dear, poor lady, she would be better loving a dream, Viola thought. What a mess. My master loves her dearly, and I, poor monster, am fond of him, and she has mistaken dotes on me. What will become of this? Time will have to untangle this mess. It's too difficult for me. On the coast, some distance from where Viola had come ashore, two more survivors were sitting on the beach. Sebastian, Viola's twin brother, and a captain named Antonio. I wish I had drowned with my sister, Sebastian sobbed. She was so beautiful and so clever. She is drowned already with salt water, but here I am, drowning her memory with more. I'm so sorry. If I can help you in any way, I will, Antonio promised. He had saved this noble young man from the savage waves and now felt responsible for looking after him. I suppose I better go into the city and see if I can make a living somehow, Sebastian told him. Antonio had been in trouble with the Duke's officers last time he set foot in the city. I have enemies there, so I'll keep a low profile, he said. But I'll come with you. At Olivia's house, Sir Toby and Sir Andrew were still drinking long into the night. The jester was there too, paid to sing songs for them. If we don't go to bed at all, at least we'll be up early in the morning, said Sir Toby, seizing the jug to pour them all some wine. But the jug was empty. More wine, Maria, he roared. Maria rushed in crossly. What a caterwauling, she said. My lady will send Malvolio in a minute to throw you all out. She can't throw me out, I'm family, Sir Toby guffawed, and started bawling out another song of his own. Sure enough, along came Malvolio. My lady said to tell you that while you may be family, she's not related to your drinking habit. Give it up or bid her farewell, he ordered haughtily. Sir Toby fixed him with a bloodshot glare. Do you think, just because you're so prim and proper, that we'll have no more cakes and ale? He said. Malvolio rounded on Maria. As for you, I shall let the mistress know that you are encouraging their behavior. Oh, go shake your ears, grumbled Maria as he marched away. She'd always despised Malvolio with all his airs and graces. He lorded over her, more concerned with his standing in the household than with lifting a finger to do any work. Sir Andrew and Sir Toby were indignant too, and had started muttering about sword fights and challenges. Be patient, Maria soothed. Leave Malvolio to me. I'll find a way to make a fool out of that silly Puritan. He's so full of himself. He must think everyone adores him, she continued crossly. Then she paused. A mischievous gleam had come into her eyes. What will you do? Asked Sir Toby, smelling a plan. I know. I'll drop a love letter in his path with lines praising him in it. His silly walk, his snooty face. My handwriting is almost identical to your niece's, Maria said, grinning. Excellent, cried Sir Toby. He'll think my niece wrote it and that she's in love with him. Exactly, Maria said. Then we can hide and watch what happens. I'll let you know when. Maria whisked out of the room. She's a true beagle, that one, Sir Toby said admiringly. I do believe she's fond of me. The following day, Maria was in Olivia's garden, clutching the love letter and waiting for Malvolio to pass by. She tiptoed down the path as Sir Toby and Sir Andrew waited in a giggling huddle. Hide! She hissed, racing back. He's coming! She dropped the letter on the ground, and they all dived behind a box hedge just as Malvolio came strutting around the corner. It's all down to fortune, Malvolio muttered to himself. I hold a lot of respect in this household, but it's not as much as I deserve. Now, if I were Count Malvolio... The box hedge trembled with the indignation of the three people hiding, but Malvolio was too steeped in his daydream to notice. I can see it now, he continued, calling my officers to me, having left my wife Olivia sleeping, Sir Toby bowing to me. At this, the hedge nearly exploded. Sir Toby was having to be restrained behind it. Luckily, it was then that Malvolio noticed the letter. What's this? He said, bending to pick it up. It's my lady's handwriting. To the unknown beloved, it says. Why, that might as well be me. He opened the letter and read, No man must know that I am in love with M-A-O-I. It's a riddle. Now what could it mean? By Jove, I have it. They're letters from my name. He read on. In my stars I am above you, but be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. If you love me, send a sign. Wear yellow stockings, cross garters, and appear before me smiling. Malvolio looked up with a smug grin, and his chest swelled like that of a scrawny rooster. My lady loves me, he crowed. I have here every proof of it. And he rushed off to change his stockings. The crowd behind the hedge collapsed, and out burst Sir Toby, Sir Andrew, and Maria, holding their sides with laughter. Go I could marry you for this, Sir Toby cried. Me too, said Sir Andrew. Little does he know, said Maria, but my lady detests yellow and can't stand cross garters. This will be too good to miss. Despite her best attempts to dissuade the Duke from sending her back, Violet had returned to Olivia's house to plead once more for Orsino's behalf. She was shown into the orchard where Olivia was sitting among the blossoms. Give me your hand, Olivia said to her sweetly. Violet did as she was asked, noticing Olivia's tender glance in dismay. It was as she feared. The lady was besotted with her. What is your name? Olivia asked. Cesario, Violet replied, taking her hand back. I have come to try again for my master. Cesario, Olivia breathed the name as though it would break. I'm not interested in your master. I sent a ring to you after you were last here. I wonder, I'm a little afraid to ask. What did you think? I feel sorry for you, Violet answered honestly. Pity is nearly love, Olivia said. No, we often pity our enemies, Violet contradicted. Olivia sighed. It was clear this young man did not have feelings for her. What do you think of me? She asked mournfully. Violet thought about it. The lady thought she was in love with a young man, but there was no young man, just a girl in disguise. Was the lady then really in love? I think you aren't what you think you are, Violet said. Well, I think the same of you, Olivia pouted. Then you're right, Violet laughed. I am not what I am. I wish you would let me back, Olivia said wistfully. I can swear to you, Violet told her, that my heart will never love a woman, and so I will leave you. Goodbye, good lady. Do come again, pleaded Olivia. I will not stay a jot longer, Sir Andrew declared to Sir Toby. Why ever not? Sir Toby cried. Your niece shows more fondness towards the Duke's messenger than she does to me. I saw them just now in the orchard, holding hands, Sir Andrew complained. She must be doing it to make you jealous, declared Sir Toby. There's only one thing you can do. You must challenge the youth to a duel. Olivia will be impressed by your bravery. You think? Sir Andrew said doubtfully. Of course. Go and write him a manly challenge. I will deliver it myself, Sir Toby urged. He chuckled to himself, thinking that Sir Andrew and the youth Cesario would make hilarious dueling partners, each as meek as the other. As Sir Andrew left, Maria burst into the room, crying with laughter. Come quickly, Malvolio's and yellow stockings. Olivia had asked Maria to fetch him, thinking his solemn air would suit her sad mood. Maria announced his arrival with, Something is wrong with Malvolio, mistress. Olivia stared as Malvolio sidled into the room, kicking his legs oddly as he walked to show off his lurid yellow stockings with fashionable cross-garters holding them up. Not only was he oddly dressed, but to her dismay, he was smiling. Malvolio's face was about as suited to smiling as a china vase was suited to bouncing. His lips stretched tight over his bared teeth, and a map of lines spread across his features, cracking his normally dour face with a maniacal grin. I sent for you on a sad occasion, said the lady faintly. Sad? I can be sad if you like, Malvolio told her through gritted teeth. Cross-garters such as these cut off the circulation somewhat, but if someone special, someone likes them, then I will bear it. What on earth is the matter with you? Said Olivia. It was well written, the note, Malvolio hinted. Be not afraid of greatness. Some have greatness thrust upon them, Malvolio said suggestively, waggling one yellow leg. Olivia winced. Have you gone completely mad? A servant appeared at her elbow. The young man you sent for has come, the one from the Duke's court. Shall I show him in? Do, said Olivia, hurrying away. And someone please look after Malvolio. He is not right in the head. Sir Toby strolled into the room, trying to keep a straight face. Malvolio, are you not well? He asked. Get him to say his prayers, Maria advised dryly. I think the devil's taken hold of him. I am above you all now, Malvolio said, his grin slipping a little. Soon you'll understand. And he stalked off. Olivia already thinks he's gone mad. Let's put him in a dark room to calm his madness, Sir Toby said mischievously, chuckling. They followed after Malvolio. Viola had traipsed back to Olivia's house, having been summoned this time by the lady herself for another fruitless attempt to gain her love. She cut the visit short, saying her master needed her. She was just leaving when she came face to face with a round, tubby knight and a long, thin, gingling one who was apparently being dragged there against his will. The round knight was Sir Toby, and the man he was stopping from fleeing the scene was Sir Andrew. Sir Toby waved a letter under Viola's nose. Young man, I bring you a challenge from this bold knight whom you have gravely offended. Viola took the letter and read it, looking terrified. But I have done nothing. There must be some mistake. You'd best draw your sword and defend yourself, for he is a fierce knight and is leaping to attack, said Sir Toby, pushing Sir Andrew forward, who was struggling to escape. I'm not a fighter, Viola wailed, backing away. Just then, Antonio, the captain, happened to stroll by. He was on his way to an inn where he'd agreed to meet Viola's twin brother, Sebastian, later. He lent Sebastian his purse to see the sights of the city in the meantime. Of course, Viola, dressed as a boy, was the absolute image of her brother. Taking her for Sebastian, Antonio leaped to her defense, yelling, What is all this? I'll answer on this young man's behalf. Sir Andrew would have bolted altogether had Sir Toby not seized him by the scruff of the neck. They were just about to draw swords when a group of armed guards came around the corner. Seeing Antonio, the guards cried out, Seize him! They recognized him from the time he'd been in trouble with the Duke, and they'd been looking to arrest him ever since. As they grabbed his arms, Antonio yelled to Viola, Could I have my money back? If I pay up, I won't have to go to prison. Viola looked at him blankly. Money? She said. Well, I can lend you a little. Antonio's face crumpled. Would you deny me my own money in my time of need? After I saved you from drowning too? He asked. As the guards dragged him away, he cried, You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Sebastian. Viola froze. Sebastian? Her twin brother? It could only mean one thing. Her brother was alive. Forgetting all about Sir Andrew and Sir Toby, she rushed off back to the Duke's palace. If he could free this man, perhaps he could tell her where her brother was. Seeing the young man flee, Sir Andrew felt a wave of bravery come over him. I'll teach that villain a thing or two, he declared. Right you are. Just don't draw your sword, said Sir Toby, hurrying after him to make sure he didn't hurt himself. But by the time Sir Andrew and Sir Toby rounded the corner, Viola had gone. It just so happened that Sebastian was ambling along instead. Ha! Sir Andrew cried. This is for you! And he cuffed Sebastian around the head. He got the shock of his life when Sebastian cuffed him back, knocking him flying. Are you mad? What did you attack me for? Sebastian demanded angrily. Hold it there, said Sir Toby, leaping to his unfortunate friend's defense, or I'll have to come to blows with you myself. Hearing all the commotion, Olivia came out of her gate. Sir Toby, what is the meaning of all this? She said sternly. Taking Sebastian for her dear Cesario, she turned to him and said, My love, accept my apologies. Please come with me inside. Am I mad or is this a dream? Thought Sebastian. If it's a dream, then I hope I don't wake up. Completely smitten with the beautiful young woman, he followed Olivia into the house. Olivia was delighted to find the young man she loved had apparently had a change of heart and now welcomed her affections. So delighted was she, not to mention terrified he might change his mind again, that she proposed marriage that very afternoon. For his part, Sebastian could think of no better fortune than spending the rest of his life with this delightful lady, and he happily agreed to marry her. They were wed that very day. When they came out of the church, the sun was low, throwing grand shadows along the streets. I must find my friend Antonio, Sebastian told his new bride. I have his purse and he'll be needing it, but I'll be back in an hour. Kissing her tenderly, he strolled cheerfully away to find the inn. Olivia walked home with a dreamy smile on her face and found herself crossing paths with the Duke. She was surprised to see Cesario, the very young man she had just married, at his side. Of course she was mistaken. It was Viola, taking the Duke to find Antonio. As fate would have it, the guards came marching past with the man right at that moment. "There he is! That's the man who saved me!" Viola cried. "Won't you free him?" The guards heard her and stopped, but the Duke had eyes only for Olivia. "Gracious Olivia," he began, but Olivia's eyes were on Viola. "Cesario, my love, what are you doing with the Duke?" she asked. "So cruel," cried the Duke. "So you love this boy? I can see why. I love him too, although right now I could sacrifice him gladly. Come on, let's go." As Viola turned to follow the Duke, Olivia called after her. "Where are you going?" "With the man I love," Viola replied. "Husband, stay!" cried Olivia. "Husband?" said the Duke, whirling around to glare at Viola. "Are you her husband?" "No!" Viola protested, confused. Olivia was heartbroken. Her beloved had turned against her once more. To add to the confusion, Sir Andrew came limping along, his arm around Sir Toby. "You did this to me, villain," he said to Viola. "What?" said both Olivia and Orsino together, neither believing gentle Cesario capable of hurting so much as a fly. "I didn't touch you," Viola cried. Just when everything seemed tied in unfathomable knots, along strolled Sebastian. He was happy and carefree, apart from the fact that he had not been able to find Antonio in the inn. Not noticing Viola, he walked up to Olivia. She was staring at him so oddly. He assumed she was upset about the fight, so he confessed immediately. "I'm sorry I hurt this man," he said, nodding at Sir Andrew, "but he attacked me without warning." Olivia gawped, thinking she was seeing double. One face, one voice, and two people, the Duke murmured. Viola could say nothing. She was speechless with hope. Could this be her brother returned from the dead? Still not noticing her, Sebastian saw his friend Antonio next. "Antonio," he cried, "I've been looking for you." "Is that you?" Antonio said, looking from him to Viola and back again. One half of an apple is not more like the other than these two people. Which one is Sebastian? Sebastian turned and at last saw Viola. It was like he was looking in a mirror. But I never had a brother," he stammered in confusion. "A very dear sister. Who are you?" "I am Viola," came the reply. The twins fell into each other's arms, crying tears of joy. "I disguised myself as a boy to seek my fortune," Viola admitted. "It led to some confusion." She looked guiltily at Olivia. "Oh, now I understand," Sebastian said. "So that's why you were so in love with me, Olivia. You fell for this one first." He took Olivia's hand. "But it's me you're married to." "Thank goodness." The Duke, meanwhile, was looking tenderly at Viola. He had loved this boy all along, trusting him with his deepest feelings, never suspecting this could be his perfect match. "You've said 1,000 times you could never love a woman as much as you love me, and all along—" "I stand by my words," Viola said quietly. The Duke laughed. "Let me see you in your woman's clothes. From now on, you could be mistress of your former master." "Tell Malvolio to bring the girl some clothes," Olivia ordered. Then she remembered. "Oh dear, but he's gone mad, hasn't he?" While the Duke saw to Antonio's release and Viola went to change into her own clothes, Olivia went to see her poor servant. Malvolio was in a sorry state. He had been locked in the cellar and teased mercilessly by Sir Toby and the jester, who pretended to be a priest to get him to confess his sins. He was brought out now and stood blinking wretchedly in the evening light. "Madam, you have done me wrong," he said, handing her the love letter. "First you write this, then I am treated as a madman for acting upon it." Olivia read the letter, her mouth twitching despite herself, as she understood the joke. "Poor Malvolio," she said sympathetically. "This is not my handwriting. It's Maria's. You have been tricked." Festi, the jester, interjected. "Sir Toby and I played along too, and so the whirligig of time brings in his revenges." Olivia was outraged. He turned white, then red, and then sort of puce. Then he burst out, "I'll be revenged on the whole pack of you," and stormed away. But it had been Malvolia's pride, not his heart, that had been hurt, and that kind of injury is never grave. Still, feeling sorry for him, Olivia went after him to soothe and make amends. That evening, there was much merriment on the island of Illyria. Happy voices rang out of the windows at Olivia's palace as the couples all dined together. The Duke had found a sister in Olivia and turned his doting gaze upon Viola as he realized how true love felt. Viola and her brother, glowing images of one another, were delighted to be reunited, and Olivia at last had changed her black gown for a brighter one. Even Maria had left off scolding for one night, as Sir Toby had asked her to marry him. When they all went off merrily to their beds, only Feste the Fool remained. He sat in the moonlight garden, humming a little song to himself. There was a rumble overhead. Rain clouds were gathering. Feste looked up and smiled as the first few drops hit his face. "With hey-ho, the wind and the rain," he sang. "It's important to fool around and have fun while you can in this life," he mused. "Another bout of bad weather will always hit you soon enough." Feste smiled. Everybody called him a fool. But in all truth, he was the wisest of them all. The end. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye.